Welcome to Appalachian Expose. I'm the franchise Shane Douglas, and I say this every week about how much I enjoy having these people on the show. This one is really a special thing because we get a chance to talk about stuff. The person next to me has no reason to be introduced, but I will out of respect. The Queen of Extreme, Miss Francine.
Deuces. Deuces, yo. So happy to be here.
Yeah, so like I was telling you, this is the first time, early in your career and you're going on the road, jumping in with whoever, and these are the conversations you have, right? So let's get right into it. What brought Francine Fournier to professional wrestling? I mean, no disrespect, but like you weren't quite the type of girl that I had usually seen in wrestling prior to that time.
No.
So, what happened to get this chickie babe to say, hey, this is pretty cool?
So, I've said this before, I was never a wrestling fan growing up. Shocker. Didn't want to be a professional wrestler. I didn't want anything to do with the business. I just wanted to find a good man and settle down and have babies early. I always wanted 5 kids. So
Thank you for joining us for Appalachian Expose this week.
Seriously, my dream was to be a mom.
Yeah.
Growing up, I wanted to be a mom. That's what I aspired to do. I never wanted to be a career woman,
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to get a job, I wanted to be a nursery school teacher. Well, when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college. So I got a job right away at a life insurance company. Started in the mailroom, worked my way up. I was a data processor, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I was in a cubicle, and just didn't like it. And at that time, I started watching wrestling, and I watched...
Which wrestling?
So I watched Global, and I watched WWF.
Sure. Because
everybody did back then,
Now, you're living in Delaware at this time.
No, I was living in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Born and raised in Philly, go Eagles. And so... I wore my Eagles jersey. So I'm working at this insurance company. I'm just hating life. I'm hating it. It's not where I want to be. I'm about 20 years old. And I go home and I turn on the TV, and it's a Tuesday, 6 o'clock, Sports Center, Philadelphia, or Sports Channel, Philadelphia. ECW's on.
Eastern
Championship Wrestling. And I tell you, I didn't know any wrestlers that were on the program. The arena was probably half empty.
Yeah.
And I loved it. For some reason, it captivated me. And I remember I watched the full hour. And I said, join us next week, or whatever they said, It's like, okay. So I watched the next week, and then I watched the week after. And then about a month or two in, this commercial started running. And it said, if you want to be a wrestler, a manager, or a referee, call this number. Hello? I pick up the phone. I'd
like to talk to somebody about being a wrestler, a manager, or a referee.
I don't know anybody in the business. I don't know what the business entails. All I know is my job sucks at this point, and I want to get out. And I think Sherry was there, and I loved her.
Sure.
She was my favorite girl ever
Sherry
in the business.
Martel.
Sherry Martel. She was there. There were a couple Peaches, Sandman's wife. There were a couple girls there at this time, and I'm watching them, and I'm I could do that. Okay. So it's simple stuff. I mean, really, who can, right? So I pick up the phone. Lex, I leave a message. Lex calls me back. Lex Ortiz, which is our ring announcer Bob Ortiz's lovely wife.
Hi, Lex.
We love you. We miss you.
Great people.
Yes. So she goes, yeah, we got your message. And I go, yeah. Yeah, you got to go meet Todd Gordon. And I go, who's that? I don't know who Todd Gordon is, right? So she's like, you have to go to Jewelers Row. And I knew where it was because I worked in Center City. That's where my job was.
Right.
So I go, okay. So she gives me the address. You're going to meet Todd. I go, okay, fine. And I walk in. It's a pawn shop. My dad's waiting in the car in the parking lot because I didn't want to bring him in and look like a baby. So I went in by myself. Yeah. Todd denies this. He just called me a liar. But I remember his legs and his feet being up on the desk with his arms folded. He denies that and says that didn't happen. whether it did or didn't, he was still in this room. They walked me. There's all bars. I got to be buzzed in because it's a pawn shop. Yeah, and I'm scared to death. And the lady goes, "Oh, go down there and make left," whatever it was. And he looks at me and he like kind of looks me up and down, and he goes, "Oh, you're a very pretty girl. You never have to bump."
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what a bump is. I go, "Oh, that's great. Thanks." You know, I don't know what it is. So like Stevie Richards worked there. So I think I might have met Stevie that first day. I can't remember if he was there or not. But I was supposed to train with Larry Winters, and our schedules did not work out. The days I can go, he wasn't available.
Right.
So then they put me with JT Smith, and he was great.
JT's a good guy.
JT, he's one of the best guys. He was, you know, he became a really good friend of mine, and I was the only girl there. So it was me and like 5 other guys, and it was JT, and then Stevie would come down and he would train during the day with us too. So I'm training and stuff, and then I was training, I thought, to be a women's wrestler at the time, because they had me, you know, doing drills and all the stuff and whatever. And then I had
Were they, jump into this,
yeah.
Were they doing any kind of differentiation between people that wanted to be managers or people that wanted to be referees?
No, not that I remember. I remember like they were like, "Well, do you want to be a heel or a baby face?" And I did something, and one of the guys goes, "Oh, she's a heel." Like just by the way I did something in the ring, I did. "Oh yeah, she's gonna be a heel," and I was like, "Oh, okay." But I remember them saying, "Okay, you're gonna have a tryout match in front of Todd." So it was me and Angel Amoroso, and we put together like it was like a 6-minute match or something. Yeah. And we do the match, and I remember I rolled out of the ring and I ran right to the bathroom and I threw my guts up, and it was like all bile. It was disgusting, and I'm like, "Nah." And I come out and I'm like, "Hey, Todd."
You're a wrestler, kid.
I go, "Hey, Todd, how was?" You know what I mean?
Dripping off
Yeah, I got green bile dripping down my face, you know. And I guess he saw something in me, because he, shortly after that, Paul was coming in. So Eddie Gilbert was on his way out. Paulie was coming in, right? And they tell me to go to, I'm pretty sure this was the first night I met Paul, tell me to go to Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania. And I meet Paul, and they tell me, "You're going to win a fake beauty pageant. You're going to be Miss Montgomeryville." And I tell you, I went to Macy's, I bought the friggin' ugliest dress, and it wasn't intentional. It was like, I was looking at the rack, I didn't know what to wear, I wasn't sure what the gimmick was and all this stuff. I think it was black and white stripes, and I had all these white gloves. I thought it was so badass and sexy, I looked like an idiot, right? And I remember meeting Paul, and he said, "You're gonna be the timekeeper, you're gonna sit through the whole show, and then 911's just gonna come and grab you, that's your cue. Just gonna grab you by the hair, and drag you in the ring. He's going to give you the choke slam." And I said, "I don't know what that is. What is a choke slam?" And Paul goes, "Well, wait, you don't want to take the choke slam?" And I go, "No, it's not that I don't want to take it." I said, "I don't know what it is. We didn't learn that yet. Yeah. That's not there yet, you know." And he goes, "Don't worry. When he grabs you, you just go with it." So I'm like, "Okay." Well, that's what happened. Al grabbed me, and he did the choke slam, and it was like that white noise, like you heard, and then you heard nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm laying there, and I'm just like, "Oh my God, I don't know," like, because we sold like we learned a little bit, but it wasn't like I didn't go to wrestling school very long, to be honest with you. I was kind of forced, you know. After 2 months, I did my first indie show. Somebody said, "Oh, you want to do an indie show? I'll pay $50." I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" You know. But they put me on a stretcher, and they took me in the parking lot, and Stevie Richards, they told Stevie, "Drive her home."
Yeah.
And so I got in the car, they took me home, and I didn't know, like, I was like, "Oh, I wonder if that was good." Like, nobody told me. Stevie didn't say anything, so I didn't know, and I didn't get to talk to anybody. Yeah. So I was just like, "Oh, I don't know how this business works." And after that, I got a phone call, "Come back, we want you to come back." And that's how it was for probably the first year and a half. I was doing house shows for them. And just like sometimes I would be Tommy Dreamer's tag partner. Sometimes I would be invited and I wouldn't do a thing.
What year was this?
I started in 93. So I started doing shows for them in 94. And it just...
I'm a bit sketchy on that early part. When exactly did Todd Gordon buy it from?
The Eddie Gilbert, Joel Goodhart.
Joel Goodhart, yes.
Yeah, see, I don't know much about that. I always thought I came in during the transition period because I didn't know Eddie.
Yeah.
I only remember Paul. I never dealt with Eddie. Eddie was just like...
Yeah, he was there briefly.
Yeah.
You know, in and out, 1, 2, maybe 3 shows. It was quick.
Oh wow! See, I thought it was longer than that, but.
So once you're there, because to be honest, I don't remember you being there before I left and came back. The first time I remember seeing you was at Lost Battalion Hall in, what would it be, 95, 96. And you were sitting there managing the pit bulls. I didn't know that. You were sitting there, you had just a nice street outfit on, glasses, and you were reading a paperback book.
I used to wear sundresses, and I remember, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, and we'll go back to that, but I remember Mick Foley always saying to me, why can't you go out in these sundresses? And I go, you don't want me to, Mick. This is me. This is how I am, you know.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were somebody's girlfriend or, you know, because I don't remember before that having met you at any of the shows.
And I don't know why. If you were back there, we should have crossed paths. I mean, I was told to introduce yourself, so I would go around and say hello to everybody, but I don't know why. We were like 2 ships sailing in the night.
I think it was, I want to say August or October of 93 when I first went in, me and Terry.
So, no, because I was training, so I wasn't going to shows at that point.
Okay.
I started training late that year, and then I think I think I only trained for a good, if it was 2-3 months, it was too much.
Yeah.
I don't think it went too far past that. And then I was going, they said, come to this show, come to that show, you know, you're invited to, let's go to Atlantic City, you know, because I was there for that battle royal that we talked about.
Yeah.
So I don't know why we didn't.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah.
So, during that time, how many matches did you have with, or Stains, Amorosa, or?
So Angel and I worked together. Geez, we worked at Pulsations nightclub, and they called me Penny Pulsations at that show.
Yeah.
And we started wrestling a match, but Al came out and chokeslammed both of us like 3 minutes in. So we really didn't get a lot in that night. But right off the bat, Paul told me, I'm not going to use you as a women's wrestler. He goes, because they don't draw. Point blank, that's what he said. Back then, he goes, the women's wrestling will not make you money.
Right.
He goes, what will make you money is being a manager. He goes, and I will know how to use you. And he's like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Yeah.
Famous last word.
I said, sure. I don't know any different.
Right.
And pretty much at that point, I was just learning as I went along because I stopped going down to the school and I was just doing stuff on the road to learn, and that's what happened.
In any of these matches, did you ever get, not hurt, banged up, something that might have made you go, hey, this is a little different than what I thought it might be?
You know what made me think that? Running the ropes, because I was completely purple.
Yeah.
And when I started training, I was 110 pounds, soaking wet. And I could not gain weight to save my life. Like I remember I was a receptionist, and Medusa was in one of the for Philly radio. She was doing the morning show once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was listening to her, and that's when I first started training. So I called, and I guess, I don't know, I got right through, so I don't know how many people were listening or whatever, but I got to ask her a question, and I told her this years later. I told her this, and it was funny. I said, I'm trying to gain weight. You know, what do you suggest I do? And she goes, eat rice. That was her answer, and I go, okay, thank you. And but I hung up the
Lots
phone.
and lots of rice.
Lots of rice. She said, when I was in Japan and I wanted to gain some weight, I used to eat rice. And I said, okay, thank you. And that was about it. But I ate like a pig and I couldn't gain an ounce.
The kid metabolism.
Oh, it was just super high. So when I would run the ropes, I would come home bright purple. My mom, see, I told you. You met my mother.
Oh, yeah.
I told you this is not what I want you to do. You should not be doing this. And like the first week I trained, I couldn't get out of bed.
Yeah, moms typically are not big fans of the business.
No, and she was right. I mean, technically she was right. 'Cause she always said when you're 40, you're going to feel it.
Oh, yeah.
And to this day, I hear that and I'm just like, you're right, Mom, I'm so sorry.
During this time, was there ever a point where, coming home and hearing your mother say that, being sore in bed for a week, that you thought to yourself, like, maybe this isn't what I want to do? Once you began to see a little bit more behind that curtain, was there a part of you that said, hey, this isn't my thing?
I didn't like the pain aspect
Yeah.
because again, I was tiny back then, you know. But I kept telling myself like, there's got to be a bigger picture. There's got to be something down the line that if I work hard, I'll achieve it. Because at this point, I'm really into wrestling and I'm watching all these other women in the sport, and I'm just like, I want to do what they're doing, but I want to try and do it better if I can.
Sure. Yeah.
And I want to leave my mark on the business somehow, but I'm still so green.
Sure.
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm listening. I have my ears open. I'm asking questions. I'm observing. I'm trying not to get in trouble.
Yeah.
It's a whole big deal. But the pain, like that was something that I found hard to deal with because I wasn't. Not that I ever was a big pill popper or a big drinker, but when I first started, like I didn't know you could take like a Percocet and go to bed and your pain would go away, so to speak.
Yeah.
I was taking 2 Tylenol.
Better you didn't.
Exactly, yes, and I thank God every day because maybe I wouldn't be sitting here if it was the other way around. But I would take Tylenol and just lay there and it wasn't helping. And when you're
Tylenol extra.
Deep purple, it was just, it would get to me, and I'm like, am I ever going to be able? I was a wimp, it's totally a wimp. But I'm like, it's got to get to the point if I keep training that I'll build up a tolerance.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And we all did because that's the only way you could get by. But that's the only part that really bothered me.
While I was gone in WWF in '95.
Yeah.
And you started managing the pit bulls.
Yep.
Was there much of a learning curve there? Was there did they know how to use you properly? Were they teaching you things as they went along? I know you, like, from that first night that I met you, that I remember meeting you at Lost Battalion, you looked incredibly uncomfortable.
The promos made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Not so much. I mean, I to this day we were talking about it earlier. I always get nervous coming through the curtain.
Yeah.
I get nervous if I have to make an entrance. Mm-hmm. Like when I did Colt Cabana's thing, I felt weird walking on stage. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, what if nobody pops? Like I get nervous. I just get nervous. What if no one comes to my table? It's a psyche with me. I don't know. What was the question? What did you ask me?
About like learning with them.
Oh, learning with the pit bulls, yeah. So I found it harder as I got more experience. I found it harder to work with a tag team than to work with an individual, because when you have 3 cooks in the not that I was a cook, because I didn't really in the beginning I really didn't say too much, but when you have 2 guys, one might tell you one thing and then the other one says, oh no, she should do it this way, or why did you do that? Well, he said to do this. It was harder for everybody to be on the same page.
Sure.
And then especially if you had tag matches, now you got 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as, it was a good learning experience, I much rather would work with one individual than 2.
Yeah. In doing that, well, I'm just thinking in my head out loud, and I'll say it, then I'll pass it back to the question. When you're working with 4 guys, your pit bulls, their opponents, wrestlers tend to have a sort of fast forward in their head. So she's at ringside with the guys that we're wrestling, so let's give her some spots.
Yeah.
Not understanding that you don't really know how to yet do that, or like, was there much of that? Like, were you ever being asked, I guess posing the question this way, were you ever being asked by their opponents, by the pit bulls, to do things that you really weren't trained to do, comfortable doing, and could have very likely gotten hurt doing?
So again, it was learning as you go. Mm-hmm. So there were bumps that I was taking that I've never taken before, I've never heard of before. Like total elimination. Like we would work with the eliminators, and I loved Perry and I loved Cronus. They were great guys. But that was one of the most brutal bumps that I think I've ever taken in my life. It's just, Cronus's ass was so huge. And he was the jumper.
Yeah.
So he would come high and Perry would go low. And he would land on my face every single time I would take, and it hurt. I mean, so you're going down, always hitting my head, and then having a big ass fall on your face. Like, that wasn't a fun bump to take. Right.
But also could have been dangerous.
It could have been, but everything could be dangerous, and you know that when you go through the ring rope. Right. So I was okay with it, and again I said, well, you're going to be the first girl to take it. You want to take it? Well, hell yeah, I want to take it. You know what I mean? Because then she's the first one to do it. So that was my mindset. Right. I was always scared. Yeah. There was never a minute where I was not scared to do something. Always scared, but always up for the challenge. Sure. I never wanted to practice beforehand unless it was me giving you something. Right. Then I needed to know a technique. Am I doing this right? Am I grabbing this right? Blah, blah, blah. But taking a bump, I felt like you were in control. Yeah. You could guide me. So I'm going to put my trust in you. So I never wanted to practice that. Because if I did it once, I might not want to do it again. Yeah. Might not want to do it again. Yeah. So that was the only thing in my mind. But as far as doing a spot, I think I was always the type of person, and I think you know this about me, I used to sit and listen to the whole match because I didn't want to just know my cue. Right. I wanted to know 2 or 3 steps beforehand. Then I thought if I understood the psychology and I understood what you guys were doing, if for some reason something goes awry with you, I'd be able to help you or the person that I'm with. Yeah. You know what I mean? So sometimes I would just try and focus mainly on my stuff, but if I knew what was going on, if you're looking for a chair, I know where that chair is. Yeah. I'll run over, I'll grab it, and I'll give it to you. Mm-hmm. Just try to be helpful if I can. Right. Yeah. So I learned as I went, and I think the more I concentrated on the whole match, my timing got better and better. Sure. Because I never waited until the last minute. I always knew 2 or 3 steps ahead of time, when my spot was coming. Sure. Yeah. So.
With the pit bulls, and I'm trying to take in heat in the direction. But how long did you work with them?
I think we were together 11 months. It wasn't even a year.
So it was a good chunk of time. Because when I came in, first of all, I'm sure you remember the night that I met you. Remember meeting you when you're sitting there reading the book and looking like a librarian.
I always read a book because I didn't want to bother anybody.
Sure, and you were sitting there quiet as a church mouse. And you had gone back sometime. This is my first night back from La La Cartoon Land up there. And I'm back like a pig in shit, right? I'm really having fun being back with my friends, meeting the new people that were there, and watching the show. Didn't have a match to worry about. I never saw you get up to get changed. So after the show, when I came back, and you came out in the Pitbull gear, black leather. The worst outfit ever. You didn't look like the girl I'd seen sitting there. So I assumed you were somebody else. Really? Yeah. Huh. And then I was watching. If you remember, I used to always watch all the promos because I would learn from them, but I also like to give pointers and help. And you looked so uncomfortable on camera that I felt bad. And I just and I didn't see Gary or Anthony or Paul or anybody. You were just sort of nervously getting through this, and it was no good on camera. So I just came up and grabbed you, and if you remember, we walked over behind the pillar, and I said, what are you so nervous about? And what, at that moment, after, and you did a much better take on the last one, but I remember thinking, She listened. She's trying to do the things that I told you to do, and it just pegged me that you had like Donnie say, keep your brain open, and not ever at that moment even thinking like you're with them. Like that's that was that spot that I saw you in.
Yeah.
And later, Paul had come to me with the idea when he was creating the franchise character, and he said, "I want to put you with Francine." And I said, "Who's Francine?" I was only back there very, very short time, mm-hmm. 1 or 2 shows, mm-hmm. and he said, "The girl you help, she's with the Pitbulls." I said, "Oh, yeah, she's great." And he said, "I don't know what you did to her, but just keep doing it." And
I got franchise.
Yeah, he told me, he said, just keep teaching her. And I, fortunately, at that point in my career, had been to all those other places and had learned all this stuff the hard way,
Right.
I was the same as you were, didn't know shit.
Well, the problem, if I may just cut you off, like going into this locker room, there weren't many female figures. Like Nancy Sullivan was, she was the girl, the main.
And Nancy was great, but
Nancy was great.
Hanging around with
Kevin, she had Kevin and her little clique, and then Sherry was there one night, and bless her heart, she talked to me, and we hung out. Yeah, she was great, and she's like, I can't wait to work with you and all this. But then she went, I believe, to Harlem Heat. She went to WCW. The next show, she was gone. Yeah. I never had a female to take me under their wing and help me.
Yeah.
With the Pitbulls, as much as I liked them, they didn't, I don't want to say they didn't help me, but I didn't learn from them the way I learned from you. You and I used to sit there, we used to talk psychology and promos and stuff like that. When I would be in the car with them, they'd be talking about like the clubs and doing this and that, and I'd just be sitting there like, okay. It was a different dynamic, and I'm grateful for the time that I spent with them.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking ill, but I didn't get that. It wasn't the learning tree. I didn't get too much out of it, learning what, except for being out there and doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you said earlier, but not rushing into the spot.
Yeah, like learning as I went. Yeah. I watched how they worked, and they were kind, don't get me wrong, but I didn't have the guidance that I wanted.
Sure.
And, Paul would take me aside and say little things here and there, but I needed more than that, I think. And so when you saw me doing that promo, not one time did anybody ever stop to help me or say, well, maybe you should try this way. And to be honest with you, they never let me talk.
Yeah.
I would always be like in the center, and they would say, play with your nails. Pretend you're biting your nails, or flick your finger, or do. And I'm standing there like this, and it's like that's not much of a character.
Yeah. But you had clearly learned stuff from them, because for me, like when we started working together, the stuff that I was wasn't having to teach, I just could see that you needed to learn was when you see me grab a hold, you take the attention. Don't be doing that like when I'm working.
Sure.
Things like that at that point in Gary and Anthony's careers, they were still pretty young coming into the business. I had fortunately been to all those places and had been taught that stuff myself. And there were things that I didn't have to explain to you. Okay, when I'm taking a rest hold or whatever, you understood all that. Like, you already had that base there.
Well, working.
Yeah.
Working.
So those things, I guess what you could call it the sort of foundational basics that you had learned working with the 11 months with the Pitbulls.
Right.
So I didn't need to slow down to say, this is what a high spot is, or this is what whatever. That stuff you already had.
Yeah.
And I think at that point forward, once we got comfortable with just working with each other, it then became each of us at the same time pushing where our character's going to be. Is it going to be here, 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 here? Will this character do this or not do that? And for those first couple months we were together, the chemistry was obvious there on camera. But when I go back and I watch that stuff now, we're at a signing and somebody has the loop playing or whatever, and I'll watch it, and it's way in the back of my head, but I'll see you do something and go, I didn't notice that before. You know, like walking, like the one time you were standing with your back between hard cam and we were in the middle of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And just as I started thinking, oh, she's blocking the shot, you like looked over your shoulder at one, I forget which way you looked, and you sort of like just, you didn't like split over, it just, you sort of melted down out of the way.
I shimmied.
Shimmy-shade. She sashayed out of the way. And those types of things that now I don't have to think about making sure I comment that to you. Now we can talk about some other stuff up here.
Yeah.
And it just became really comfortable in that dynamic.
Yeah, like at that point, it was like I was trying to teach myself, okay, where's the hard camera?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the handheld? You know, working off of your promos,
Mm-hmm.
reacting to what you said,
Sure.
reacting to what the crowd said.
Yeah, which is not easy. For somebody that thinks that like we're just sitting back there making faces, if you're not listening to the words and what's being said,
Yeah.
it sort of looks like almost like puppetry.
Yeah, because you could react at the wrong moment, and people are like, "What the
Right.
hell is she
Yeah.
thinking in her head?"
Yeah,
Like nobody said anything,
Yeah.
or one of those things,
Yeah.
you know. So I always, like, especially when I was paired with you, it's like you need to learn reactions, facial expressions, but you need to sell it to the people. It was always like, you know, if you take a bump, never take a bump with your face covered. You
Yeah.
want your face up in the air because you want them to see your pain.
Steamboat taught me that. It's a Steamboat thing.
But I've watched so many people like this, and I'm just like, okay, they know you're in pain, but don't you want that expression to be shown?
Yeah,
so I always tried to make it a point to like put my head up or make them see my
Get
face.
the hair out of your face.
Yeah, like little things like that, and just like with Gary and Anthony, I wasn't taught that kind of stuff. It was me being at ringside. And in my head, what's common sense at this point?
Yeah.
If those two guys, one of them's my boyfriend, how am I going to react to him? Not that they were my boyfriend, but I'm just saying, if I was somebody's girlfriend, how would I react to somebody hitting them with a sledgehammer or putting a chain around their neck?
Yeah.
You have to show emotion. You have to show some kind of sympathy. Or if you're a heel, you have to show like a mean side to you. So I'm just like, okay, now I'm an actress.
Mm-hmm.
I consider myself an actress.
Sure. Yeah.
What would I do? And that was my mind frame,
Mm-hmm.
you know? But then with you and I together and the roles that we played, it became so easy.
Yeah.
And it was organic, and it wasn't like we had to try.
Yeah.
Because 9 times out of 10, we didn't even plan what we were doing.
No. And again, for me, where I was starting to see the early stages in the other promotions that I'd worked for, where the guys would say, let's set up this really long spot, or let's do this real elaborate finish that's really half the match. And I was never taught that way. I could never go out there and play the character that I was supposed to be, trying to remember 75 moves or whatever. So the fact that I could sense that coming from you, like where you would be, we're facing hard cam, say. And if you're behind me, I can't keep looking back to see where Francine is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing to the camera and focusing my attention on my opponent. And I would see you, a couple times you'd be gone, I'd like just glance around, but then I would see you in short order, just sort of melt into into my frame.
Yeah.
You know, so okay, there she is, I got her. And that for me was, because again, not that I couldn't have taught those things, but I think where we have become that object that Paul wanted us to be, in order to pull that off convincingly, that we had to, and we're going to get to the big thing here in a second, that's going to probably disappoint a lot of you out there. But now I can now focus on explaining to you, like, okay, if you trip him, don't just be waiting there and trip him, right? Like, make it a sort of, or I'm sure you heard me telling you a million times, look like you're doing something when you're doing nothing. Right.
I think a great example of that, I thought about this the other day, and I have to find it somewhere because it was a really good spot, is when we had, I think it was Gary, and I loosened the ropes and the turnbuckle, and I remember you said, when you loosen them, do it fast, but when you're tightening them, do it slow. Yes.
Yeah,
and I remember going,
Yeah, it was great.
You know, and
Great.
I thought about that the other day, and I just started laughing to myself, and I said, I have to find that tape somewhere, because that's
That
one of the
was-
things I never forget.
That was the first match after back with the broken neck.
Yeah. And we put him between the, you know.
And he caught his head like Mick Foley would do, catch center.
But it was just the expression, and it just, I don't know, it just made me chuckle.
So the whole thing that we always get asked. She told me recently asked how your husband's doing, and she's wondering like,
how's your husband? And I go, he's great. Oh, really? Is he still wrestling? And I go, say what? Is he still wrestling? I go, who's my husband? They go, Franchise Shanedouglas. I go, really? Did I marry him? People still to this day think you and I are married.
And I have told, because her husband's a great guy, and we were professional, right?
Yeah.
But we had to evoke something that we were told from Paul. Could not
No,
leave
we weren't told. You were told.
Oh, well, I didn't know that Paul had told me. I hadn't told you. Honestly, I did not know that. But I remember him talking, I thought it was us sitting there, that it could not hit the sheets, that the boys couldn't be smartened up because they would hit the sheets. And you and Beulah were always rooming together.
Yeah, and it was funny because we roomed together, and we were at like the Travel Lodge, I think, one time, and we went to get on, and nobody was around, and we went to get on the elevator. We thought the coast was clear, and all these fans come on.
Yeah.
So I go, you stupid bitch, right? And I got in the corner, and I was
Catfight.
And then we both got off at the same floor, but we went, and you know, if you went that way, you bump into the wall, and then you see her go this way. It's just so funny.
Yeah, and Paul had mentioned that to me, and I had only stayed there like once or twice.
Yeah.
Not too many. But fans would be coming up to me, like going down to the bar, and they'd say, "Oh, Francine's up in Bill's room," or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh."
Great.
And that's when Paul said that's got to be done a different way, and we weren't allowed to smart the boys up in the company. It was, but like our friend sitting over there, that's the actor, the big ugly guy over there. The fact that we were able to pull it off, that people still ask me that 30 years later, nearly 30 years, and I will get questions all the time. Less now, but 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year, and people are always shocked to hear that we weren't involved at that time.
Yeah.
It's and we've obviously talked about this a million times. It wasn't that there was no attraction there. It wasn't any of that. To me, you were my coworker, and I'm not going to go and do things with the coworker. Plus, I was married.
You were married.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest blockage, is that you had a wife.
Yeah.
And I wasn't gonna. I didn't want to cross that line or anything, because I respected your marriage, because you respected your marriage.
But that made it so much more comfortable to be able to go out there and carry on that that characterization that we would play with it to the point. I don't know if you've ever gotten this, but I was getting heat from Candido, Bigelow, Taz, Perry Saturn. Just really because they had bought into it. They knew you were staying in the same hotel where I was staying, and those things that to them, as wrestlers in the business, how many boys they see do this, go on the road and sleep around with their wives and everything. But again, there's 2 points to that, to me anyway. It made that team so iconic because the chemistry was there, and the chemistry was there not because we were making it up as we went along, but because we were not having all this funk in between of, we are, but I got a kayfabe when I'm home, or there was none of that. And that made it so much less disarming to me to be able to go out and carry that off. But I think it also, in the way it presented on camera, for somebody that had been in the business as short as you had been in the business at that point, if you had put me, say, with Ric Flair or Harley Race or Bruno Sammartino, less than a year in the business with a 30-second revolving door being actually trained. If you'd have put me at that point with the world champion, I'm not so certain I could have played that role well, because I didn't know what the hell I was doing at that point. And you had done it so well, so it looked effortless and so legit how you would play off of that stuff. that would make it easy for me then to play off of what you were doing. And the all these years later, the fact it's about midnight right now, recording this. We've been sitting at the
Squared Circle
Expo in Indianapolis all day, me, her, and Hack. And we literally laughed our asses off all day. My stomach and my face hurt right now because of laughing all day. And I think that's what allows us to do that now. That there isn't this sort of like, hey, Franny, how you know? We made it really awkward. But again, like watching that playoff on camera, to me, I know what we're doing and what we're not doing.
Right.
But it looks so believable. It hooks you on when you're watching it.
But now you have to picture yourself in like as a young girl in the business being put into that predicament. I have the whole locker room thinking it's not funny.
No,
and when you laugh, I want to choke you. It's not a funny thing. And there's going to be people in the comments go, you both are bullshitting. You know you're liars. Well, guess what? We're not. It never happened. It bothered me because I didn't want my colleagues to think, oh, look at her sleeping with him and he's married. And then I go and I stay at your house when we're in Pittsburgh. It's
with like my wife in the house.
Oh, exactly. It's like, what the hell? Am I crazy? Ex-wife. But you know what I'm saying? Like for me, it was very uncomfortable to have guys like Taz and oh, here she comes. Looking at me like I hated it.
No, I understand that. Again, that's the youthful thing in the business, right? You were still at that point fairly new in the business.
And very young.
And not like by that stage of my career, I didn't give a rat's ass what anybody thought, right? It's in out.
But being a girl in the business, I didn't want to be looked at as a rat. I was working at this point. I'm working my ass off, and I'm trying to gain respect.
Right.
And then Paul saying, "Oh well, you know, you guys got to be on the down low," and blah. And then going into a 7-Eleven and having Shane buy a Magnum condom in front of Paul Heyman, and then he gets in the car and he throws it at me, and I go, "Really, a Magnum? Is that what you think of yourself?" I am not a liar. You know it happened. It's true. And Paul was like, oh. I'm just like sitting there like, oh my God, are you kidding me? That's not, that was the part that I hated.
But it was better than me going to buy like a little balloon or something, one of the little string balloons.
I don't know what you look like down there. I don't need to know. I thought it was an over-exaggeration with the Magnum, to tell you the truth. But the point was, you did it on purpose, so Paul would see you. Bullshit. So anyway, that was the part I hated.
So now we got that 9,000.
Yeah, now that's taken out. Yeah, sure.
So the night that you're turning, all I knew, because you and the other girls, Peaches and Beulah and Kimona went later when she would come. All the girls that were there, you guys all dressed upstairs, like sort of in that as private could be up
kind
there.
of. I mean,
but I had all I knew was that you were going to pull your skirt down. There was going to be something franchise. I had no idea what it looked like, what it was.
So Paul calls me, I think a week prior.
Yeah.
And he says, you know what's happening? Now we're building this up, and I'm so naive. Still, I don't even know. I don't know what's happening, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing little things like I remember when I did it, I didn't know what the significance was to it, but they had me like walk out and then walk back to the curtain, and it was like you were whispering in my ear, but we never saw you. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, dummy me, I'm like, ooh, I don't know what that means, And so Brian Lee.
The little seeds, right?
Yeah. Brian Lee was in my ear the whole time. Mm-hmm. And Brian was pitching to get me to be his manager. And unbeknownst to me, I go, Paul goes, well, do you know who you're going to work with? And I go, yeah, Brian Lee. I go, do I have to buy chaps? Because I had just gotten out of the pit bull gear and I really hated it. Now you're going to be, he goes, who told you that? And I go, Brian Lee. And he's like, he goes, why are you listening to Brian Lee? And I go, I don't know, because he's telling me things and I thought it was accurate. And he's like, you're going to be with Shane Douglas. And I go, really? And he goes, yeah. He goes, this whole buildup is for Shane. He goes, but you need to get a pair of panties that say franchise on them. I go, where the hell am I supposed to get a pair of panties that say franchise? I don't
Tights
know.
are us.
I don't know, but find a pair. So I get a pair and I take them to like a boardwalk airbrushing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did.
Yeah. Now, at that point, like I said earlier, if Dusty had come and said, hey kid, next week, you're going to be working with Harley Race, I'd have probably shit my pants, right, at that stage.
Oh, I was excited.
Well, excited, but I mean, did you really fully understand what?
I don't think I understood anything about the business at this point. I was just wanting to go to the next chapter because I do remember Paul saying, like, you're not going to be with the pit bulls long or something to that. He sees bigger things for me.
Yeah. So when did you learn? Well, first of all, the match, for those of you that didn't watch it, you can go back and check it out. It was a four corners match. Me, Jericho, Anthony.
And Scorpio.
Elimination. And it comes down to me and Anthony. And he's beating the hell out of me. And then you...
So I get in, I get thrown in the ring. And I have the powder. The baggie is so small. And it goes, poof. So, he's blind, he can't see, right? Throw the powder in the pit bull's eye. You do something to him. I smack him across the face, and then there's a bump.
And Gary.
Gary. I think Gary like went over the top, or no, you got Anthony. You guys will go over the top, right? Gary comes in, and before that, I do the deal with the skirt.
Yes.
I turn around to hard camera. I make sure that the name
I
is.
was on the floor.
Yeah, I make sure that they see the franchise. I turn it to the people. I smack my ass a couple times. Here comes Gary. The table spot's happening. So, I was going to shit my pants. I was so scared.
Well, at first, I mean, for anybody that's a worker out there knows this, but for those of you that aren't, that is not an easy bump. It's a dangerous bump, regardless who takes it, especially for somebody that was still fairly young in the business and not had a huge amount of training. And because you were, 110 pounds?
At this point, I think I got up to 117, but I was still tiny. I know, right?
Chubs. And she had to gain that to break the table.
Right, yeah, sure.
But yeah, scary bump.
Scary bump. But like Paul was, he told me about it. I think he didn't tell me until like the night before.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he told me a week prior. I can't remember how much notice he gave me, but I think he was selling it like, you're going to be the first girl to ever do this, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to know your name, and blah, blah, and I'm like,
we're going to throw you off the Empire State, but you're going to be the first woman
to ever do it. Don't worry about it.
Trust me.
But I remember the night before, I didn't sleep a wink. I was so scared. So scared. And I remember us going over everything in the back, and I was just shitting a brick.
Well, I had gone to them and tried to think of something else we could do. I thought that was a little bit
too much.
Too dangerous.
Really?
Right? But
well, thanks for the try. It didn't work out.
I gave it a try. The pop when you went there. When I looked and saw it, realized that when you rolled away, I knew you were okay. And the pop was the biggest pop to that point I'd ever heard. It was explosive.
It was good.
Did you hear it, or were you just so focused on
I don't think I heard it that night. I watched it back and realized, I think it was like, I was so scared and in my own head. It was, when I hit, it was just like relief. Yeah. All I could hear is, thank God, thank you, God, thank you.
And she gets up and a piece of the table starts.
Go sticking out of my head, But it was such a relief to be done. And I don't think I heard anything. Yeah. It's like when you get hurt, you don't feel it until you go to the back. Sure, it was one of those deals, So I was just happy that the spot was over, and I was like, okay, now Shane's going to come and grab me, and we're going to go to the back, and it's over.
No, we started to do the spot when they got up and
but I mean, for me, I'm dead.
Right.
I'm just waiting for you to come grab me at this point.
That's when I come in and get on.
There's 80 false finishes.
I shoot him, and he reverses. And he had said to me all day that he was going to take it like a DDT. And I said, don't do that. Because...
Oh, Gary?
Yeah, because a single arm or drop arm DDT, where I come off and grab his arm over, and then under and I flat back. Well, if he takes like a DDT, what he's not realizing is that my 250 pounds, here, he thinks he's going for a DDT would be right down between his knees or feet. But because of my weight, it's going to be this. It's going to take him over here instead of there. And because of my medical school training, when you hit the windshield area called Jefferson fracture, you can break your neck incredibly easy. And he kept saying, and I had kept telling him, no, explaining it. Remember how we were always screwing with each other in the back? Everybody's always trying to rib everybody.
Right.
And by that evening, he's still telling me this. I'm going, okay, take it however you want. Like, thinking he's ribbing me, trying to rib me, right? And you know, when you take the good bump, you feel that boom and the recoil, but this was like a dead thud. And I rolled away to my right, and I looked over, and I saw Gary rolling out, holding his neck, what looked like selling his neck. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's good. And we get to the back, that's when I came and got you. We get to the back, and if you remember, he's in the back the whole night, he's going, I'm kinking my neck, and he's jerking his neck everywhere. And Monday morning, I get a phone call from Todd Gordon. And Todd and I were always trying to pull one up on each other. Mm-hmm. So he said, you hear about Gary? He said, we're at the University of Penn, he's going to surgery, he broke his neck. And I ain't buying it, Todd.
You broke his neck.
So I ain't buying it, Todd. So he's jerking his neck all around. So I ain't falling for it. So I didn't buy it until I saw him like later that week or the next week. I walked in, I go, yeah, sure, I'm looking at it, and I see the screws like skull.
Did you see all the coats hanging off like
yeah.
Poor guy?
But the screws are like screwed into his skull.
Yep.
You know, it's not like it's touching his skin, it's in his. And I was like, holy crap, you know? And
yeah, it was sad. I felt so bad for him.
So, in the time, he was off for like, what, about 2.5, 3 months, I think.
Something like that. And that killed him.
Yeah.
That killed him being out for so long. Yeah.
The problem was for him the timing. That would have been the perfect place to bring him back and put the belt on him. The problem was you and I had just been put together, and you're building this. Paul's building this heat with this mega group that he's put together.
Yeah.
And you know, just as so often in life, and especially the wrestling business, the timing just wasn't right for it. But during the time that they're off, and we're doing all the vignettes all over.
Oh my
New
God!
York
the worst vignettes you could ever imagine. I would pray after each promo was shot, please dear God, don't hold this against me. It was terrible. Terrible.
The one in the swimming pool with Damien playing the doctor.
Yeah.
Water is very
therapeutic.
The sewage lake
with the turd.
The turds and stuff. I'm out there swimming like 50, 60 yards off the water. I think I see a snake. I start like splash on it, swim all the way in. Paul goes, it wasn't a snake, it was a stick. It was this close to me. Paul's 50, 60 yards away. I said, it was a damn.
Do you remember walking to the
syringes?
There were needles and used condoms all over. It was so disgusting. It was some beach in New York. Yeah. Remember?
So you never went in the water. You were on that rock. You were standing on that rock.
No, I was in the water because all you saw was from here up.
And you were
like, I was trying to be sexy, but I was like, there's turds and used condoms floating by.
I probably got hepatitis from it or something.
It's disgusting.
Another time we were at the hospital. This is the way ECW did things, right? Instead of get permission to do it, we would just roll up on this real hospital, and get out and get a wheelchair.
At 3 in the morning, because it was so late. And wait, the best was when we did the pool. With Damien, we walk in, and it's senior citizen day. They all have bathing caps. Paul goes, "Okay, everybody out."
Kicked all the grannies out of the pool.
They all looked at him like, "Who the hell are you?" Because everybody's got to get out. We got to shoot a promo.
and so we're doing those, but when did you sense that, or did you ever sense? Because I don't think at that stage of my career I would have been able to that the heat. You could feel the heat bubbling up with this. I mean, it was palpable, especially after all those vignettes.
Yeah, I think, it was slowly building, but the night that we, when you wrestled I guess it was Anthony, and then Gary came in through the towel.
Mm-hmm.
You did the shake, and the way that the crowd reacted and the people I think that was the first time that I felt people reaching over and grabbing at my hair and trying to punch me, and and I'm selling because I took a bump.
What was the bump? Because you were laying face down.
Yeah,
stage left.
Because I remember somebody telling me, one of you, probably you, when you take this bump, go as far to the ring apron as you can and get out of the way.
Because he's locked in that. He's not going to...
And the attention's on you guys, so what? And this wasn't a point where I want my face to be seen anyway, because I wanted you guys to be front and center. I took, from Anthony, I took something. I don't remember what it was.
Clothesline?
I don't remember what it was. I'd have to watch the tape back. Yeah. But I remember I was down, and then you come over, and I couldn't get my footing.
Yeah.
If these were my feet, they were supposed to be like, they were like this, and they were dragging.
Yeah.
And you had me under my armpits, just dragging me.
Well, first of all, Gary was supposed to get the halo off the week before. And as a real trooper, as most guys in ECW were, he kept it on the extra week. Which, if you ever had a cast or a brace or anything like that, that's a big deal, keeping it on for an extra week. And so we had it timed out, of course. First of all, I hope everybody out there knows I would never do that if he weren't healed, right? I would never jeopardize somebody's health like that. But I always thought that what made that whole spot was two things. The fact that Anthony, remember, when he would push his blood to his face, he would turn blue. His veins and arteries were reversed. So instead of turning red like most people do, like I do if I push my blood to my face, he would turn blue. So you distracted him, got the chain, full Nelson. Now he's 280 pounds. I'm not moving with him in a full Nelson. And he's turned himself blue. Gary comes up on the apron. You've been bumped at this point. You're laying face down.
Oh, God, I don't remember what
And he comes up on me. First of all, he starts waving the towel on the floor. He comes up the stairs, waving on the apron. I keep saying no. He throws the towel in my face, and then comes. As soon as he starts to climb over the rope, the crowd, you can hear them start to gasp.
Yeah.
And there was then he threw the towel in my face. I'm sorry. And when he did that, there was a pause for a second. I reach up and grab it. When I grabbed the halo, the entire place audibly gasped.
Yeah.
And we had it timed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And because the way he screwed into this thing, again, he didn't take it off and put it back on.
He had to hold
it. He kept it screwed in.
He had to hold it.
And so he looks like Frankenstein's monster falling.
He was. It was so awkward the way he was moving that it looked fake, but it was real.
Yeah.
It was real, and it was very painful to watch.
Had he taken a flat back bump or something, I think it might have knocked it down more into the wrestling world. But it was so different and so awkward looking that the confusion you see on my face after we do this is I am trying to gauge the crowd. But the crowd is going through this oscillation, these people got like this, and then all of a sudden they're getting pissed and fangs coming out, and that's going over the crowd. So as I finally kind of get them pegged and their faces are changing, but I see fans jumping the rail, stage right, and you're stage left. My thought was get over there, get you, and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So when I jump through the ropes, with my back to you, I turn around, I spot you, but then I see the cop come around with the riot gear. Remember Paul would tell us, if you ever see cops in riot gear,
yeah.
And we're in the building all day long, there's no cops, let alone cops in riot gear, right? But when I saw the first one, face, shoulder pads, bulletproof vest, my heart sunk because Paul said to us, you're in imminent danger, meaning somebody's got a gun, somebody's got a knife, and now I'm like, holy crap. And I've got to get Francine. The first one came behind, and then the second, the one behind pushed me down, bent me forward. The other one grabbed me by the hair, I think.
But didn't you get punched by Todd Borden first?
No, I punched Todd.
You punched Todd.
As I'm turning to look at you, I see somebody coming
Todd
up
was
behind
trying
me,
to come to you.
and I just swung wild. You know, like, boom! I thought it was a fan,
Todd.
and that's what I didn't see. So as they're pushing me by you, I grab you,
Yeah.
and she's like a library book, right? I'm trying to get her up, but they're pushing and pulling me, so I'm dragging you, and I can't get your feet up under me.
I was like Fred Flintstone starting his car.
Yeah.
My feet were doing this, but I couldn't get them flat. They were literally dragging.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came back, I was all scraped up on my feet, and people were just like any body part they can get at, they were grabbing at us.
I was getting the crap beat out of me because they were kicking and punching
Yeah.
and kneeing.
Yeah.
And I pushed my head back in part so I could get you more to your feet, but also to stop getting hit.
Jesus.
And as soon as I got to a standing position, I had seen Tommy. There were two curtains. The curtain you'd see us come through, about 10 feet, the second curtain, and behind that's the dressing room.
Yep.
And Tommy had pulled both curtains back, so now from the arena, you're looking right into the dressing room. And I can't even mimic it. He had this look of absolute sheer terror on his face. And I was waiting to hear like a bang or feel a stab or something. And by now the crowd's pushing us. So me, you, the cops, and now the crowd behind us, we're being pushed like a wave. I remember seeing Big Dick and all these guys sitting there terrified, and we're pushed right through the dressing room, and Damien had started the car.
Yeah, but remember the baby faces had to chase us.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So Tommy is in the angle.
Yes.
And like we come through the curtain and we're trying to get to the car.
Yeah.
But then Dreamer and then like the heels are cheering, like, yeah, go.
Yeah.
And then Dreamer comes after us. We go to get in the car. The car's locked.
Dane, our driver, had started, it was a Lincoln Town car, Cadillac or something. Started it and put it in gear so he could get us out of there.
We go, open the door, open the door.
Hey, open the door. I throw Franny in like a sack of potatoes, and I dive in, and he takes off.
Oh my God.
And we're bouncing in the back of the car.
And the first thing he says to me, am I cut? I go, what are you talking about?
I expect like intestines hanging out.
I said, no, you're
a big
fine.
axe hanging out here.
Yeah.
And then came the real fun, right? The threats. And
the banning.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to certain shows. And...
Well, remember, we hadn't been paid that night. Remember, we had to go back to
that was fun.
So,
my God.
Yeah, but during all that, I hate to say it since I'm marking out, but I'm so impressed because I would have lost my shit that short of time in the business, being involved in something like that. I would have lost my mind if somebody, 1,000 fans came after, say, Harley Race, and I was with Harley, and that would. You were so new to the business, even though we had done all the things that were getting along great and the chemistry and all that. But that's a little above the job description.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was part of the deal.
just naive.
I mean, this is what's going to happen. And if you're a heel, you're supposed to get heat.
Yeah.
And Jesus, we got heat that evening, and it just kept building,
Yeah, it did. It just kept rolling. And all these things we had spoken about, by never even having to think, is Franny in the right spot, or does she remember her spot? It was not that was out of my head. I knew you had it. But we had come up with the entrance and had done all that really showcased well. But there was the time, and there's the picture that they were selling earlier today. By the way, if you're you won't see this before the convention's done, but
no.
if you are, I'd hold the ropes open, she'd go under, give the kiss, the chest beat, then you had the cock walk, right? The center walk. It was all Francine. Then you would sort of gravitate over. I'd come in and go right, and you would typically melt over with me into the corner. And when I get into the corner, I'm expecting you to be right there, and I look, and you're going the opposite way. Where the hell's she going? So I'm back in the corner doing the three fingers, and you go to the opposite corner, and you look across at me, and you did this thing with your head, turned your head, and then paused for a second. I'm going, what is she doing? And you dropped down, and you did this catwalk across the ring.
Put on my knees.
But I remember thinking, what young red-blooded American boy isn't dying right now, right? I mean, this is, wrestling sex sells, right? It's you have a beautiful girl doing this stuff, and that's where I knew you had the character. Like, there was nothing I could teach you as far as what Francine, the Queen of Extreme, was meant to be.
And I don't even know what possessed me.
Had you come up with that before? Did it pop in
No,
your head?
I probably not. It was probably on the fly. But I mean, you know me in real life. Like,
No.
I'm not one to slink across the floor and say, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, it just, you play off the crowd, and I must have been like, oh, let me see if this gets over.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah, of course it did. It
did. That was just something I thought of that evening, and you are a vet, and you're good enough to pick up if I'm trying to do something, and if it fails, it fails.
Yeah,
but thank God it didn't, and Paul probably put that on loop 27 times.
Now there's another thing I'm curious about, because like during this time frame, especially while this is going on, and I can't remember exactly where that incarnation started, the last one ended, and it picked up. But I do know that somewhere right in this neighborhood is where Bam Bam Bigelow, the Beast from the East, and Chris Candido become members of the Triple Threat. And, Tammy would occasionally be there and doing things with that. If you remember, first of all, Paul did the right thing, right? He had all the belts on us. That I had told him, you need to legitimize this version of the Triple Threat if we are to be the new Four Horsemen or whatever. And so we had the tag belts, we had the TV belt, we had the world belt. And it wasn't for just a cup of coffee, it was for a month or 2 or 3, and then started splitting it off. During that time, because of things like what I just described you doing, I was getting booed because I was the big mouth. Chris was getting cheered, like sort of semi-cheered. Bammer was sort of getting the like golf clap respect, and then you were getting pops. So we were all over the place.
I would get the pop because of what I was wearing.
Yeah.
But I tried to turn, like I'll never forget Dreamer saying, "You can turn a crowd in less than a minute."
Yeah.
And I said, in my mind, I'm going to get a pop because of what I wear. I'm not going to wear a muumuu just to be a heel. I'm going to get myself over with my outfit.
Big fluffy slippers.
Yeah, right? But I always want to turn them. Yeah. So I would always try and do something to get that pop, but then bring it back down to a boo.
Yeah.
But
there was that period where it was sort of this like, hey, hooray, boo. It was like a musical
tweeners.
Instrument. Yeah.
Kind of like they love to hate us,
yeah,
but they love us
right
at this point.
And then in short order, though, you had turned them. Like you had gotten them to come with the heat.
To the dark side.
Yeah, and then, Bammer and Chris, of course. Chris, I love and miss them both to death. But Chris, for you fans that maybe hadn't known or heard these stories, Chris would entertain himself while he was working because it was fun to him.
Out there.
Yeah, so he would do what he called his ha-ha spots, right? There's a little bit of ha-ha. And because of that, and he was so damn good that he would get that, hey, Chris Kane is pretty good, and we had to, like, jaw jack him, like, go for heat, go for 85. And when he did, he was amazing at it.
Yeah.
I
think he did it a little more on the house shows.
Yeah.
Because it was just, casual atmosphere. We didn't have to follow any rules.
Right, yeah.
So there would always be that one ass cheek that always hung out for like 30 minutes of the match. Or you would see his pubic or his butt hair, his afro.
Like a fucking black bear. He had a thing you could braid.
Curly.
Thick, black. It looked like you're looking at the ass of a black bear. He'd always wait like sunset flip and he'd say, pull my tights down. And you'd get this, like suddenly the sun disappears and there's a...
Yeah, but I mean, we were I want to say we were a lovable triple threat on house shows, but then when it came to TV, we got serious.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, we did one promo where it was the 4 of us, and for whatever reason, I was wearing a boa. I don't know why. I brought this boa, and I pulled Chris aside, and I didn't tell you purposely. And I said to Chris, I'm going to flick my boa, and it's going to land in your face, and I picked off 2 feathers, and I said, put the feathers in your mouth, and then when it hits you, cough the feathers out. So you're oblivious, and you're shooting this thing, so I do it.
It just happened.
And he goes, and Paul goes, cut, and I go, oh, what the hell? He goes, we can't have that. Shane's being all super heelish, and then you two are acting like clowns. And I was like, it was so friggin' funny.
It was great,
but he wouldn't let us use it.
Yeah.
So there goes that bonus spot that I came up with.
Of course, we had great chemistry working. We had a lot of fun when we would go out to work. But watching those guys, I was always envious because they both made it look effortless, like they were breathing air. And
especially Bam Bam being so big and not being blown up ever.
Never. I mean, the in the pay-per-view, the spot I always point out is for the first 15 minutes, he's beating the crap out of me. I don't do really anything to him. Everything. The template was Flair Vader 1990, and every time I would fire up on him, he would register for a split second and cut me right back down. And by that point, he pretty much had the crowd thinking, there's no way the hometown guy's getting this. So he presses me, throws me out, and then he walks over. That building, if you remember, was like 115 degrees that night. It was like being on the sun. And he walks over after throwing me around 253 pounds for all that time in that heat. And he walks over, puts his hands on the top rope, and he looks right into the hard cam. And he is literally breathing like this. And he's like, look at the drip of sweat here. I'm over there. I'm dying over there,
Right.
And he was slimmed down to like 380, I think, for that match, which for him was small.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, in that kind of heat.
But you all had your own qualities.
Yeah.
And that's what made the group so dynamic.
Yeah.
And it was just like...
And we seamlessly played off of each other.
Absolutely did.
It was all 4 of us.
Like I told you, for my podcast, I do watch-alongs. Eyes up here if anybody's interested.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do, with the watch-alongs, it's usually stuff that I'm involved in because that's what my fans want to see or whatever. I watch back a lot of triple threat stuff, and I always say to myself, my God, so close in the ring, so close out of the ring. We knew what we were going to do before it happened. Like that, even if it wasn't a planned spot, like I would say, okay, the ass cheek's coming out. Like we could read each other's minds at this point, and that's how well the 4 of us always work together.
And that's all built out of trust.
Absolutely.
Right? It's when when Chris goes to his knee, comes up and turns to his left, he's coming to you, or he's going to do this or do that.
Yeah.
Because none of us was trying to outshine each other, and that's again was so different to the things we were seeing in wrestling up to that point around that time, where everybody was like, "Oh, camera on me," and there was none of that. It was just sort of camera on Franny. These are boom. It really was just a really easy dynamic from a worker's point of view.
Yeah, and especially too, like you mentioned, Tammy coming in and out, and like most of the locker room warned me, "You're not gonna like her." I go, "Why? You're not gonna like her. She's gonna be hard to work with. She's gonna be this. She's gonna be that."
Yeah.
And I never had one problem with working with her. There was no jealousy. There was I didn't care that she was there. Because I don't feel like she took anything away from me. I was doing my own thing, she was doing her own thing, and I think it added to the dynamic.
But when there's not the threat of I'm trying to outshine you, you're trying to outshine me, and you're focusing on that instead of doing what's the audience buying right now, what do they want to see, what do they think they're going to see, so we can swerve them. You can't think of that if you're going, is he in the right place? He's already a better worker than me. And that's when those walls start to go up, and so you hear all these stories, and I'm sure you've heard them like we have. We drank Paul's Kool-Aid, or whatever the euphemisms they use.
Right.
It wasn't that. For me, it was that Paul treated me professionally, they paid me well, and I had an amazing cast, not only to work with as my partners, but then I got to be the mouthpiece for that dressing room. You know, that's, you know, it's like I would be the world's worst salesman, because if I walked with them, hey, Miss Fourier, I'm selling these Zens here, and another thing, sorry, and walk away, right? It's not going to say, but here's why you need these.
Yeah.
But with that dressing room and that product, and the three of you as partners, there was no need for me to be looking over my shoulder or making sure you weren't doing something, or Banner wasn't doing something, or Chris wasn't doing something. There was just it's so much easier to swim downstream.
Yeah.
Right? And we had that. How did you first learn about either their passing?
So Chris, I remember crystal clear because I was booked in California, and the day, I don't know what time he died, if it was early morning.
Evening, I believe.
Evening, okay.
Evening, yeah.
So I was getting ready, I was 1 foot out the door to go to the airport, and my phone rang, and it was Tammy, and I said hello, and she was crying, and he's gone. I go, what are you talking about? And I didn't hear anything at that point. It was really early. He's gone, Chris is gone. And I said, what are you talking? And she told me what happened. I said, oh my God. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. And I said, oh my God. I said, I'm on my way to the airport.
Yeah.
And, you know, I couldn't cancel.
No.
I couldn't, you know, the guy,
Sure.
I was going to a store or something out there. And I missed his funeral. And to this day, that haunts me. Because I did not get to go to that funeral.
Well, yeah, I've got a completely different mindset and stuff. Nobody likes going to a funeral.
No, but it was Chris.
Chris's funeral had a great outpouring of fans, and there was this slow, orderly walking through past the casket. To me, it was nauseating. There's a 32-year-old kid.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. But
and because we were all so close, it was sickening.
It was, but I felt like I had gotten so close with Tammy.
Sure.
I also wanted to be there for her.
Of course.
And I couldn't be.
Yeah.
And I know she forgave me for it because she's in the business and she knows how it is. But God, I remember getting on that plane. I was feeling so guilty.
No. Look, Chris would have been the first one to get your ass to the
right?
Yeah. The other part of it is like for me, maybe it's just like as you get older thing. Going to Bruno's funeral. If you'd have told me as a kid watching Bruno Sammartino growing up that you're going to be at his funeral one day, I'd have thought you were nuts. But I wish I hadn't gone because that's when I think of Bruno. That's what I see in my head.
That's the last image you have.
It's like seared in my brain.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's a part of life, but it's a part that I don't like.
Yeah. Now, Bam Bam. How about Bam Bam? How's your
Bam Bam? Wasn't he missing for a while?
I don't know, missing.
Nobody knew where he was.
Yeah. Contacted me.
You know, they had told us he had just opened. It was very weird. It was like a hot dog and
a hoagie ice cream
something
place or
weird.
Something,
yeah, some weird combination.
And the Poconos, right?
So I don't even remember where it was.
Yeah.
But so I thought he was doing okay, and then it was like, oh, nobody knows where he is. He's missing. I said, what are you talking about? He's missing. And then it was just, oh, he passed away.
Yeah.
I said, what?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, what was it, a year and a half later?
Yeah.
I had seen him, the last I'd seen him, I should say, was at a Frank Goodman show.
Oh, wow.
And, Bammer, in my head, Bammer was like my big brother, and Chris was like my little brother.
Yeah.
I had a great family home. I didn't need extra baby brothers or big brothers. But because, Chris was Chris, the typical little brother, and Bammer was the only person other than my mother. My ex-wife called me Shane because she was not versed enough to not call me
Troy
in front of fans or whatever.
Yeah, I've never called you Troy.
No, and I tell people all the time, I answer to both, but most everybody calls me Shane. So, right. But he would call me Troy.
Right.
And it was a hot summer day, and it was early in the day, the show hadn't started yet. and there was a subway over bridge, like an over trestle, and I looked down the street, and Bam Bam was shoulders and head down, and he's dragging his bag behind him, and he just looked like a beaten dog. And I'm sitting there waiting for him to say like something stupid, like to try to cheer him up or whatever, right? And he walked right past me, and I'm like, oh, I said, you don't say hello to your brother anymore? He stopped and went, hey, Troy, and he kept going, he pulled a chair up, and he leaned against the wall, and I made him begin, I said, you okay, bro? I said, you know what's funny? He said, don't want to talk about it. He never told me what it was. That was the last I saw him. And
probably something to do with personal.
Yeah, it was, and we'll talk some more off camera, but, you know, for the Dark Side of the Ring episode on Bam Bam, had met Shane. Had not met him, but first time I'd seen him since he was 12.
Yeah.
And doing great. Colton's doing great. His baby Richie, his youngest daughter, she's a fashion buyer for like NBC New York or something. And I told Shane, I said, man, first of all, he's a spitting image of Bamber. You're a really good kid, and I said, kid, right, 30-some years old.
Right.
And I told him, I said, man, please tell your brother and sister that your dad would be so proud of you guys right now.
And he was so lovable.
Yeah.
He was such a lovable, gentle soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
didn't look it.
No. No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't know him and you would see him in a dark alley, you'd
Oh,
run
yeah,
the
sure.
other way.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you knew him, God, he was like a gentle giant. He
Yeah.
was such a sweetheart.
And super easy to work with.
Yeah,
I
totally.
mean,
Totally.
night off. And look, we can go on all night. Like,
I know, we've been talking for like 2 hours.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you back.
We'll do a
These
part
are
2
things-
because
yeah,
there's
yeah.
much more to
There's
dive
we
into.
scratched the surface of this stuff, but for you fans out there, this is what we were telling the fans earlier today. And I don't want to speak for Fran, I'll let her say it in her own words, but for us, if nobody out there watches, then this is all meaningless. We're wasting time in a hotel room and in the ring or whatever. But that so many people have, and so many of you've gotten it, and so many people out there have watched ECW and love ECW, continue to chant ECW to this day. If you'd have told us that back then, that 20 years from now,
30.
or 30 years from now, 20 years from
We're old.
demise, that the fans would still be chanting it. I consider myself lucky of having been the mouthpiece for that dressing room, having been fortunate enough to come up with the idea for the triple threat, but also to have had you as a valet, because that really did, seriously, it broadened my character out. As just a heel, the franchise would have been a prick, right? And he was. There is. But there was something, like, same thing with ECW. The sum of the parts is worth so much more than the individual parts, right? The ECW, the collective of the ECW, Francine and the franchise together, I think, is one of those things like we saw at the restaurant down earlier today. Eric, thank you, the bartender there. And, it's for me, it's the part of my career that I'm known for and that I'm most proud of. So, appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. What I take from the experience is it's not so much the work, it's the relationships that I've made. And I will say this until my dying day. Again, 30 years later, you and I and Hack and all these guys still group together.
Text every day.
Talk like twice a week and 5 times on Sunday or whatever the expression is. It to me that is, the work was great. And I will cherish the work, but having you guys in my life still 30 years after the fact, that's what means the most to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for the friendship, and I'm thankful we still get to do this. And act like fools and get money for it. So it's wonderful. So thank you.
At 90 and 29 years old.
Look at that. Look at that. But you did teach me a lot, and I do thank you. Because, without you, there wouldn't be me. And
can we get rid of Joe? Just kidding, Joe.